The Cosmic Conversations. I'm your host, Sheila Seppi, and I want to welcome you to this episode where our guest is Shakara Tosha. Now, she is a star being messenger, an ascension guide, an energetic activator, an author, and artist who offers guidance, wisdom teachings, and activation tools to assist humanity in remembering who they are while navigating through our dramatically shifting ascension times into a new way of being. Now, Shakara is a multidimensional ascension guide and a star messenger who will speak various star language transmissions and offer a light language meditation to activate your own energetic codes of creation. Tonight, she's here to speak with us about Ascension Now, Becoming the New You, which is about the cosmic light language transmissions and star messages to activate your inner codes of light during these shifting times. And that just happens to be the name of her new book. So, hello, Shakara, and welcome, welcome, welcome to Cosmic Conversations. Hello.
Hey, Sheila, and hi, everybody. I'm really excited to be here. And thank you for having me on and just have so much to share. I'm,
Well,
I'm feeling these energies very strong right now. So
absolutely. And I can't wait to hear all about it. And what I was wondering if you could sort of start us out tonight sharing a little bit about who you are and your journey and how you came to be aware of your role as a star being messenger and an ascension guide.
sure. So let's see where to start. I think I have been awakened and aware since I was a child. I have really profound memories of coming into the physical existence. Even when I was little, I had just incredible experiences as a kid, seeing star people physically, and also just feeling energy in a different way. I think I was just one of those weird kids that would just pick up on a lot. And I guess you could say my psychic abilities were pretty tuned in. Let's see. My mom was an artist, and she was a twin, and she and her sister would telepath all the time when my aunt would come over, and so I picked that up a little bit. And a lot of times she had a studio in the house and just said, I would tell her, I see star people. And she never shut it down. She just said, why don't you go draw it or paint them or whatever? So I was doing codes and light language, which I can explain a little bit later about in my work all the time. And just I'd start writing scripts, and I was writing all of these galactic codes that I didn't really understand. It was just something that sort of came to me naturally. But I had some very interesting experiences when I was little, maybe about 4 years old. I remember going out in the yard and lying down on the ground, and being instructed to just feel this energy, feel the earth, like I was feeling the earth breathing. And then there was like a beam of light. I remember looking up, and from, behind me, just this pillar of light. I think it was one of the star guides that I work with, which I'll explain in a little bit. But I started putting my hands like this, and I could see light coming back and forth between my hands and sort of circling around my body. It was I was really conscious that this was happening. I was about 3 or 4, maybe 4. And then I heard a voice that said, strangely, they said, in your 20s and 30s, you're going to have some challenging times in your life, but in your maybe 40s, 50s, you'll understand your mission, your star mission, why you're here. And don't worry about anything. We'll come back to you later, and just go play and forget that this happened. So,
That's a little hard to forget, isn't it?
yeah. So I remember actually standing up and feeling like I was in my body, but I kind of didn't know how to function. It was really interesting. So I think that what I'm told later by these guides and some other people, that I'm Arcturian, like I've come in the body as a physical being, but slowly I awaken to this over time, and I can explain that a little bit later. But yeah, I just had really, really interesting experiences. I didn't talk for a long time. I was a very quiet kid, but all this energy was kind of surging through me all the time. So I was always doing lots of sports and a lot of art. So I became an artist. Fast forward to I moved to New York City, and I was there for 35 years, working in kind of every industry you can imagine, the art world. I even worked in the financial world. A lot of different senior positions doing web producing. So I started designing and, of course, coding, because everything seems to be about codes. I was writing early code and really connected to early technology before things started, real early internet stuff and not Wi-Fi, but like web internet things. And but I was always a practicing artist. I went to art school, and I would constantly draw these codes, symbols. I just didn't understand it, but it was always coming through. And then I started getting into like multimedia presentations, performances. I was doing performance art, and kind of just ran the gamut of lots of different creative expressions, I guess. And music, I was dancing and performing, and kind of sampled a lot of different things. And then fast forward to about 2012, I started writing all these symbols, and I found a code online by this man. I'm sure you've heard of Chief Golden Light Eagle.
Oh, yes.
So my daughter and I went from the East Coast to West Coast to one of his conferences. He's passed away about 2 years ago, but we connected with him there, and it was an immediate recognition. And he said to me, "You're my sister." I said, "You're my brother." Like a soul relationship, probably from a couple lifetimes. And he said, "We'll meet again." And then after that, my daughter and I decided to have a total life change. From New York City, we moved out to Wisconsin, where he was at the time, and started doing ceremony. And he and I would talk about these codes and, Native American ways, and getting in touch with nature, and, the star people. He was very connected to star people and star codes. And we do a lot of work together personally, and also with these groups. And we were doing sweat lodges and different kinds of ceremony. And then I think about 2015, he encouraged me to go on stage and start sharing these messages. Well, around that time, there were two people, two grandmothers that spoke light language or star language. And somehow that activated mine. I had never spoken it before. And all of a sudden, I started speaking many, many, many languages. And he would have me and other people share these messages in the sweat lodge, which was pretty interesting. And also, just in groups together. There was a large group of people that we were practicing with. And it was just amazing. We'd do sweat lodges and come out and look at the stars, and we'd see ships, a lot of ships. Sometimes in the sweat lodges, there would be spirits, elementals, star people would come in. And often he would ask different people to bring in a message. So, he encouraged me, for example, to do the light language and then bring a message, whatever the guide was and whatever the message was for the people. And so he and I talked a lot about these codes of light, and what that was. And he told me at that time, he said, "You're going to write a book about creation and creativity and codes." And I wasn't really a writer. And so all of a sudden, around that time, I started spontaneously waking up at time codes 222, 333, 444, just waking up half awake. I'd have my phone and I'd dictate these messages that would come through, and these guides would come in the room. Often I could see them like etherically, or I would dream them, or what I call visioning them. And every night, every morning, for about 4 or 5 hours, they bring in all these messages on everything. It would weave, it would start about energy and then patterns and the body system and everything. It really was, the big cosmic download. And I didn't understand any of this. It was just, I was just instructed by them, just write it. We'll tell you about it later. This happened for 10 years, 4 or 5 hours a day. I get these messages about everything, and I just kept writing. And so around right before the pandemic happened, probably 2019, I actively chose to kind of go off grid. So before that, I was my partner at the time and by myself, and with these groups, I was traveling all back and forth all over the country, speaking at all these conferences, talking to lots of people and connecting and these ceremonies. It was just really phenomenal. And then I just got the message, go off grid and go in the middle of nowhere and put this book together. So I moved back to Wisconsin. I kind of go back and forth between Wisconsin and Sedona. I was there on and off for a couple of years. Washington State, kind of moving all over the place, and left my home for those 5 years. I was really, traveling, journeying, and many times I'd connect with people, but then go off on the land for hours and talk to the trees and talk to nature and, really, really connect with the earth while I was having these experiences. And these star people would come in. First, it was these Arcturians that I had been connected with, I think, all my life. And then it started like elementals started coming in, like trees as guides would come in. Sometimes I'd see them, I'd feel them, or I would get messages. It's just one after another. Then a whole group of divine feminine came in, and then the animal nations, and then more star beings. And so I was definitely being guided, upgraded, educated. And every time I would get messages, they would teach me things. So I get a topic, I'd write it down, and then I'd go do some research to figure out sort of the scientific understanding behind these things,
Yeah.
but also to really, really be able to share it with people. So I was going through my own really intense, experiences. I was having hot flashes all the time, and my energy level would go up and down, and I'd have to kind of be alone. So when I went off grid, probably about 4 years, I really talked to maybe 2 or 3 people. It was very strange to pull this stuff together. And so I started organizing it by topic and reviewing this material, and realized I could kind of pull anything, you know, maybe like I was mentioning earlier, kind of tapped into the Akashic. And so I kept asking these guides, why me? Why me?
Right.
Why am I getting this deep download? Why am I writing the big book? All this stuff. And they just said, well, you're an open conduit. They told me I'm not really channeling as much as transmitting. So whatever is coming through, including the light language, which I want to share in a minute, was just a kind of a frequency and a vibration. So when I receive these messages, it happens on a lot of different levels. I think what I'm shown is that I shift into a higher dimensional vibration, and I can see holographic pictures. Sometimes I'll hear sounds and music, and so I think a lot of people that are open spiritually have what I found out later that I experienced called synesthesia. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's a kind of a sensory thing where all your senses cross. So when I hear sounds, I can see pictures, and when I see colors, I can feel shapes in my body. It's kind of a multi-dimensional experience. So this was starting slowly to make sense. All these experiences I was having, all these messages, all these guides. I mean, it really was quite overwhelming. And so I had to take some time off to kind of integrate all the stuff and pull this material together. So I went in the middle of nowhere, watching the Amish tilling their land across the street, go out and take nature walks, and and then I'd go back and write, and then I'd have to nap, and and the messages kept coming. So I finally kind of pulled it all together, and I call it the big book. The first book I was going to write ended up being 2,000 pages. and
Wow, 2,000 pages. Wow.
and yeah, and I was like, this is crazy. I calculated thousands of pages. I mean, when I'm not a writer, I was like almost dyslexic, so it was pretty interesting that this was happening. Even now, to me, it's like it's a interesting thing to get my head wrapped around. But yeah, and so the first index, just the index of the book itself, was like 55 pages, and I'm like, well, I think that's a lot. So what I've done now, what I've been guided to do, is break them up into different books, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So I heard this message loud and clear. These are messages for the people. I know very clearly now. I think that whole time, taking all that time, was really to get to know myself, have these experiences and really process what it means to be human.
Yeah.
And, so that I could share it also with people and encourage people. So there's so many tools, techniques, that kind of thing that I learned, but it really comes down to very basic kind of practical daily life things. So I can talk in the cosmic realms. I can talk about star people, and it really was like quantum mechanics. I was
Mhm.
shown many things about photons in your body, how light language functions, really what energy is all about, and more specifically what's happening now with this ascension time. So I was guided by these guides, um, that I think my one of my jobs, or one of my bigger missions, is to help people awaken like I did,
Yeah.
and get in touch with their higher sensibilities, like expand their senses, and also prepare for this time that we're in now.
Right.
So
Now, you just recently launched a new book, right? The Ascension Now, Becoming the New You. Can you tell us, is that a 2,000 pager?
that was the first chapter of this bigger book. Um, yeah, so I started. Let's see, I have it available right now as a PDF on my site. I'm self-publishing, so I'm, I want to build that out a little bit more. But what happened is I started getting this understanding of these phases that we go through. So really, what ascension is, I'm looking at chapters of my book about the awakening. So what happens when we start opening up? Obviously, all these ascension symptoms that people are feeling, um, what's going on in society and why this is happening, and then the shifting, which is energy shifting inside of you, the shifting of the dynamics, the what's going on with the sun and the solar flares, earth, that kind of thing, as we're evolving. So I started breaking this out in phases of development, and then the becoming, which is what happens when you really open up to, I guess, open your consciousness, really open up to a bigger reality, and start to use these energetic frequencies as tools, to work with, like to manifest things, or become more creative, or working with energy in new ways within the physical. And then the section about remembering, like, I believe we've been coded from genetically, energetically, from many star systems, and this is what's waking up in people. So people are recognizing their connection to source, to whatever star system they may be connected with. And so a lot of this has to do with why a lot of people are seeing star people now, and ships, and that kind of thing. So there's a real awakening process going on right now, but it's also about remembering, which is awakening these dormant memories inside of us,
Right,
who we
right.
really, who we've been historically.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned just a moment ago about the solar flares, and I was wondering if you have any comments about the solar flares or the lunar or even the upcoming solar eclipse.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. So what I was shown is these solar flares um, are pulsating light, and the sun, the sun isn't really what a lot of people think it is. I think it's a being, it's a consciousness that's evolving. So all these planets are connected and they're evolving and they're talking to each other. And so when these solar flares happen, this is one of the things that's causing this awakening and the shift is there's a pulses of light that come down to earth through our body into earth, and it's like the sun and the earth are having a dialogue. And the Schumann resonance that many people know is sort of like the pulse from the earth, comes up and affects our body, our electromagnetic system in our body, which causes many, many things to happen. Opens our pineal gland, our pituitary, moves all this fluid around, but also really opens up our higher senses and our light body and astral body and that kind of thing. So there's a really dynamic uh, change of energy, like a shift of energy going on.
Hmm.
Um, and I think you mentioned about the solar eclipse. Um, uh, it's going to be really profound. I think a lot of people have many different views about what's happening, why it's happening now, how it's going to affect people. Um, and I think that there will be, a lot of people talk about the event, this big pulse and everybody awakens. I think that could happen for some people, and some people might not notice anything. So a lot of this, what I'm being shown, has to do with what level of frequency you're vibrating at. So um, people that are a little bit more, I guess, holistically intact, like all their mind, body, soul, spirit, etheric energy, whatever's going on inside of them, is a little bit more clarified, I guess is the
Hmm.
word, are gonna have this kind of transitional moment. It's like waves, like Dolores Cannon talks about the three waves, and we're moving into the split of two earths and two different experiences. What I'm being shown is everybody is going to experience it differently based on their own chemistry, their own frequency, where their energy level is at, that kind of thing. So I think it will happen in waves over time, but I'm feeling it too. This is why I feel a little jitsi, because I can feel these energies the last couple of days. So we had like what a lunar eclipse, full moon. I mean, it's activating everything in people, including myself. And it's a really profound time to be alive. And I think what's interesting is people that are aware that this shift is happening are kind of starting to find a rhythm. And a lot of people that haven't quite awakened yet um, are definitely sensing things are going on,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
they're not quite sure what to do.
Right. I've talked with so many people who either themselves or they know of people that during this last month, there has been more division in business relationships, personal relationships, marriages, all of these types of things. Whereas these energies are beginning to ignite, there's
Yeah,
this huge separation that's occurring because some people that are not able to hold the energies, which I agree with you, they've already started. All of these energies coming in, it's kind of like it's tipping that scale and
yeah,
it's no longer balanced. Are you finding the same thing?
absolutely. I think it's happening within people themselves.
Yeah.
The male female dynamics and the energies within, between relationships, between people, relationships with your environment, your work. We are going through what I'm being shown is a huge clarifying process. I keep hearing that word over and over again, where things are, emotions are coming up, past life memories are coming up, kind of we're all getting, it's almost like a life review, like, when they talk about people right before you pass, you see
Right.
all your lifetimes or all the experiences you've had in that life. I think this is what's going on for people right now. I'm definitely experiencing, I'll have memories that I haven't thought of for years, or an emotion will wave over me and I have to sit with it and kind of work through it. So it's agitating to people because it's bringing everything up to be
Yeah,
released. So it does
absolutely.
definitely cause some friction, but once you release it, it's like this amazing relief. But it goes in waves.
Hmm. Yeah. So I want to circle back around and talk a little bit about your Arcturian star-seatedness.
That's cool. Yeah. Sure. So hmm, I'm pausing too because I can feel whenever I do this, I'm picking up the energy of whoever's connecting with us right now. And there's a lot of guides around. I call them my consulting team. These
That's a good name.
my consultant team, um, and I can feel them. So what happens is, usually when I'm speaking on stage, I'm moving around a lot, so it's very hard for me to sit still. Sometimes when I'm feeling these pressures, so when these star people come in, it's like they have to lower their frequency into our dimension. I can feel pressure on my head and energy around, so it's a lot for me to balance it in my body. So if I'm jumping around a little bit, this is kind of what happens. Um, but with the Arcturians, I had a couple experiences that I found out about later. When I was like 6 months old, for a couple months, maybe 6 months to a year, on and off, I had like an induced chemical pneumonia, and had to go to the hospital and stayed in the hospital on and off for like anywhere between 4 and 6 months. My older sister told me she was a candy striper at that time and would come and visit me. And she's very psychic and really connected with the energy, and we communicate. She was one of my protectors and guides and that kind of thing. But I remember being there, and this woman that was connected to Arcturian energy told me that the Arcturians chose to move me into this situation so that they could work directly with me. So they were at that time even downloading messages, teaching me things, and I have very conscious memories of that. And then later, like I said, I had that experience, and then maybe around 4 to 7, I had about 8 grand mal seizures. So I was having seizures, and I was a really healthy kid, and it would just happen. I would just black out and fall on the ground and be gone, and I'd wake up and I felt like I had been traveling. And I think that's when the Arcturians would take me on these journeys. It's like a meditation journey, but a little bit more intense. But I would come back and I would have really, I would feel better. um you know People were concerned about me and I said, no, I'm fine, that kind of thing. But I would remember going to a ship, which I found out later was a ship that I'm somehow connected with, this Arcturian ship. And it's very I even go now, I go in and out of this consciousness, whether I'm sleeping, or sometimes I can even close my eyes or just do it while I'm awake. But very profound things where I go on a ship and there's a room. It's like I'm coming out of my spiritual closet talking about this stuff. And I think it's important now. The reason I'm doing this is because I know a lot of people are having these experiences. And I think when you see somebody talking about it openly, it makes a little bit more of a safe space to talk about. But I've talked to many people that have had, some pretty dramatic experiences of connecting to star people or this kind of thing. So yeah, so okay. So I would go on the ship and there would be a room with star people, star children. Um and we would sit and talk in a circle and teach each other things, and it was very telepathic. um, I would see codes and light, and there would be these, I don't know how to explain. It's very hard to find words in English in any language, but it would be like energetic balls of light that would be symbols, and we'd talk with these symbols. It was almost like, in a sci-fi movie where they have a holographic wall, with things happening and codes, and you can move them around. It was kind of like that. And then I would shift into my human self, and it was like I was reporting back from the field, what it was like to be down here. So I think I've been going up and down in all these dimensions simultaneously. And sometimes I feel more up there than here. And then there's another room that I go to where like they're portal doors. So it's almost like moving through different stargates or something. There's another room that has all these tools. There's another healing room, when they talk about the med beds and the healing, technologies that are coming out now. There's a bed that I lay on, and these Arcturian beings, I can see them come over me, and they're retuning my body. And I can feel it. And then when I come down, I can usually feel it. It kind of keeps me calibrated physically, I guess. And then the last thing is, what's really profound is there's a room that I go to that's this long, long hallway of, it almost looks like Egyptian, like a wall, an Egyptian hieroglyph wall that has hundreds and thousands of codes in a grid. It's almost like a gold wall. And I'm being shown how to pull these codes out and rotate them and put them together. And, it has something to do maybe with genetics, something to do with code structures. And so when I'm experimenting with this, these guides come in and they're teaching me. It's like they're standing by explaining what these things are while I'm learning them or remembering them, I guess. And they say some of these symbols are just energetic feelings. It's almost like they're logging, almost like the Akashic, all these different things. Some of them are blueprints for planetary systems. Some of them are thought forms. Some of them are, locational places in the galaxy. I mean, it's pretty wacky what I've experienced. So
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, are these the beings that you're talking about now? Are these the same beings that you refer to like as your are they part of your consulting team, or
yeah.
are these okay? So, yeah, so you're always working with them.
Well, it's them, and it's also my higher self. So even when I
Okay.
really want to speak some light language in a minute, because what happens is I think it's a combination of me shifting into a higher aspect of myself. One of the things I'm shown is that, we vibrate on all these different dimensions. We're conscious of the third dimension right now. When people talk about moving into the fifth dimension, I have been shown we're already there. Like around 2012, when the energy shifted, the Mayan calendar and that kind of thing, we shifted out of our perception of time, but we've been gradually opening more and more into these higher dimensions. And what I'm shown is about 2016, we were physically capable of experiencing up to like 13 dimensions. So this is one of the things that I've been working on.
Okay. And as the energy starts to build, a lot of times what happens is we have technical difficulties, but we're all used to that here. So we'll just see how long it takes to break this. Let's just all go ahead and put some good energy out there to bring this connection back. So she will pop back on. I think one of the beautiful things about our speaker tonight is her willingness and openness to share, not just her experiences, but how she's bringing in and anchoring these energies onto the planet. And so many people that are watching this right now are really doing the same thing. Whether it's through your meditation practices, whether it's through, the work that you're doing. Okay, here we go. And you are back. I was just talking about, I just love when this happens because now the energy is rising. You're bringing these new frequencies to anchor on. So welcome back.
Thank you. We're always here, right?
That's right.
And yeah, I think we're all vibrating in and out of existence all the time. It's quite interesting. But yeah, technology is so interesting around these energies, these guides, whatever you want to call them. I mentioned my consulting team. I can feel, I mean, they're around. This chief is around, some spirit is around. I can feel these energies. I mean, it's quite intense. So, and this always happens. It always whacks out technology. So I ask them, just take it gentle.
That's right.
Yeah. But this would be a good time, actually, if I could share a little light language.
Absolutely. I'd love it.
Yeah. So I'd like to do that and then maybe shift over to share this meditation. One of the things I do is these energy frequency signatures or light code drawings in my art. And I made a little 5-minute meditation that I'd like to share. But I want to, there's so much to, it's so hard to do in a condensed time, but let's see. Okay. So usually when I'm presenting these, it really is like a ceremony. So I'm just going to call in the energies, whatever needs to come through. And like I said, I'm not really channeling. I guess you could say clear channel, but I'm more transmitting this energy. So all these different guides are going to talk through me. And then I can explain a little bit with the light language. Some of the languages that I talk or speak are actual star languages. I can recognize them as Arcturian, Pleiadian, that kind of thing. Orion, Tau Ceti, and some of them are frequencies. So they're vibrations that come through that carry codes that seem to activate things or open people in a certain way. So I'm not really doing anything to people other than just holding this space and being present. So I wanted to share that. And there's no real literal translation for these, but I think that's what happens with my art. You can interpret it in a lot of different ways. So, but the messages, usually when I share these, I'll share light language and a message and a light language and a message. It's almost like bringing through the understanding as I'm experiencing it. But right now I just want to kind of share a little light language so you can have a little taste of what it feels like. So, okay. Shikutu singir wa sanin wa shante. Isama no lu katainin wa shamotu skitit do shinge. Ana ula kainin wa shamotu skitit do shinin wa sanke. Itusha ninin wa samotu skintit do shane. Ila kainin wa shambotu skitit do shine. Isubon tush kutu singir wa sanin wa shamotu skitit do shinin wa la kaine. Isa o soko to a shingir wa sanin wa shante. So that was a little sampling, I guess, and that felt Arcturian. There's also a Lemurian grandmother, like an ancient grandmother that seems to come in a lot of times. I do the private sessions with people one-on-one, and this grandmother energy seems to come through, and sometimes people just feel a wave of love. I mean, it really is love energy, Christ consciousness, vibrational, feels good. So,
yeah. And it sounds beautiful. You can feel it kind of washing over you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel it too. People say, do you get tired after these sessions or, when this energy comes through? And I said, no, it feels great. it's like energizing. So yeah.
Wonderful. And so now you want to move us into a meditation?
Yeah, it's more just kind of a frequency retuning. So as people are watching this, they can listen, they can feel whatever they want to feel. I think that the most important thing I want to share in our talk here is everybody has their own expression, and everybody has their own, what I call, energy frequency signature, their vibration, their mission, what they're doing with their life, how they're experiencing it. And I really want to share that this is just what came through to me. This is my truth, and everybody has their own expression. And I think it's really important right now for each person to kind of come out, and share their gifts and that kind of thing. So I'll just share this with you, and we'll just go with the flow, right? So let me see if I can share my screen. And I think this should work. Let me see. Can you see my screen here?
Yes. I see many pictures.
Yep. Okay. I'm going to play this. Sorry, just one second. It's easier to do in iMovie. Let's see. Play full screen. Tell me if you can see that.
Yes. Perfect.
All right. There you go. It's about 5 minutes. So enjoy.
We can't hear any sound, however.
Oh. You can't hear the sound?
Not yet.
Oh. Okay. I'll play a little bit more and see. There is a soundtrack there. So let me see if I can play that. Otherwise, I'll try another way. So can you hear the sound now?
Yes. Okay.
Messenger kan no shangi to samano kan no shanki to sanne lo kai no shan to sui kiki wala mo ko la ko no shan to samano kan no shin to wala pete ina na so to shingi no sama ko post kan no shan te lo ano so to shingi no sanne no shan to lo kin no shan to wala kai no to che to sting warna si kitir wa shin ashamboto sakete to washana sam to shikita to washana ina sama to mola ko ushoko to shingete sekito tete to shin sam shango to skako shingere wa santete to kaite tete Chakpe Tosha Washtiri, Shakara Tosha.
Wow. That was beautiful. It was intense. Um, I loved the vibrancy of the colors.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's a sampling of some of the work and some of the star languages. And, it's really interesting to hear myself talk because I don't usually do that. And I can feel it. It's quite interesting. But yeah, it's a lot of activation in that stuff.
Yes, absolutely. There was a calming, yet it was almost like an anchoring energy. You could feel like these waves coming in and then just solidifying in the body. So that was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me share.
I want to take this opportunity, if you don't mind, to go ahead and see if there's anyone that has any questions for you. Maybe it's about the light language, maybe it's about the work you do, the activations. And if you could please take a moment and share your website with everyone. So just to let them know how they can find you. And if you'll speak it out loud also for our people who are listening to the audio on like Spotify and Google, etc.
Sure. So you can visit my website at shakaratosha.com. It's just my name. It's SHAKARATOSHA.com. Shakara Tosha. And you can find out a little bit more about my work. I also do, like I mentioned, private sessions, one-on-one. And the book is available. The artwork that you saw is also available as a print. So all those are available directly from me as a print. I will write a script of light language and message and activate it and send it out, or you can get it digitally directly. I love doing sessions with people. And they could be anything, energy readings, guidance, life, career, whatever. And they're quite profound, where I speak the light language, and then I help people. You know, we kind of talk through these things with the guides, and I'll help them get connected to their higher self and their guides. So that's one of the biggest things I'm offering. And if people want to sign up for my newsletter, I'm going to start rolling out, like I said, all these other books. I've got about 8 books right now that I'm finalizing. So they're going to come out probably once every 2 weeks. So
Wow.
yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, Patty, hi. Go ahead and unmute.
Okay. Yeah, Shakara, that's fascinating. I'm just blown away by all that. I'm working through one of Michael Newton's books at the moment, and that's awesome enough on this side. Just great. My question is, have you made contact with other people from where you're from that are on Earth doing a similar thing to you, or gearing up to do something like you are?
You mean that have had kind of similar experiences with me? Yeah.
Yeah.
So with this light language, you know, I think many of you are familiar with Mary Rodwell. I came across her work when I started speaking the star language. And at the time, I had no idea what I was doing. And the first person that talked to me said, I'm speaking Arcturian. And that's what kind of activated my language. And somebody said, oh, I think you do something called light language. Check it out. And I went to Mary Rodwell's site. And at the time, this was like 2014. And very few people were doing this, but some were speaking it, some were drawing it, some were doing these mudras, and just kind of slowly evolving. And now, if you Google light language, millions of people are doing it. Like each person is activating another person's light language, and everybody does it really uniquely. When I would do these presentations and I traveled around, I started meeting a handful of my friends and people that I had done these conferences with and that kind of thing do light language. And there's a couple of us, I will say, that do the combination of lots of different languages, plus the art, plus the speaking. So there are handfuls of people that manifest this kind of multi-dimensionally, I guess. But yeah, I think many people are awakening right now. I'm really connected to star kids, and you know, the children that are coming in right now, and I will say something in light language and often they'll respond back in star language. It's fascinating. Something in the field gets them talking, and you know, when I talk to them, there's a whole thing I'm working on with Star Kids right now, not just a book, but like a channel that will feature the kids talking, because they're brilliant. You know, they come in, they can talk about crystals and energy and planetary systems and stuff. So I have these really dynamic conversations with these Star Kids. And I've been in places when I was in Sedona, you know, just started talking star language to somebody and they just started having a dialogue. And a handful of my friends that do speak various languages sometimes we'll just call each other up and speak star language the whole time. No English, you know, and it's just a vibration. It's like, and we get it, you know, so it's unusual to people. A lot of people say, well, I can't understand what you're saying, or what's the translation, or I don't do that. I'd like to. And I said, everybody does energetic communication in different ways. But yeah, there's many people now are getting activated, and these languages that are coming out are very ancient. So it's actually, we're going back into remembering these languages. So
okay, so have these people that you've come across that can answer you, have they received education from higher beings not on planet Earth, or is it just a natural thing that they're picking up?
It's all different. Everybody experiences it different. Some people get messages. This is what I call the star messages. So I'm getting the language plus the codes plus an understanding. I'm getting an education. I'm learning in a second as this is happening. Or even when I go out on the land and close my eyes and put my hand on the stones or whatever, I'm getting an upgrade and a download simultaneously, if you want to call it that, but also getting an understanding. You know, I'm hearing things about how this functions, what I'm like feeling the vibration of the rock. It's talking to me. It's a language or codes, or I'll look at the clouds. A lot of it has to do with nature. But everybody does this different. So some people don't get messages at all. It's like channels. You know, some people will close their eyes. Some people will go in a trance state. You know, Edgar Casey went to sleep. Some people will just say, there is no translation. Here's the codes. There you go. And some people will have a really deep understanding. So it kind of all depends on the person. So it's a combination of things depending on, you know, how it's coming through for them. And I think it's whatever their role is. Some of it is very personal. Sometimes people don't share this at all. They just do it, or they keep it very private. Other people share it to activate or stimulate or open people. And then the messages sometimes come through with people too.
So that leads me to thinking that because there's such a movement increasing the numbers, that ultimately the population of Earth's going to wind up at the situation where all of a sudden everybody knows.
Yes. Yep. I think
What
that's
they call
what's happening now. It's like a spontaneous ignition. And I think this is what happens. What I'm being shown is as this energy is rising, I can even feel it happening right now in the earth, cosmically, within everybody, where we're ultimately going to get to a place where we won't need the internet, we won't need technology. We're becoming telepathic. And this is really, really what's going on. So it's perfect that you mentioned that, because I think we'll get to a place where, just like the star people in these higher dimensions, some talk, some don't. I mean, there are millions of different kinds of star beings. Some are telepathic, some are somewhat physical, some are, you know, there's all different flavors.
Yeah. Yeah. Same song, different verse, more or less.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I'm being shown, which is really profound, and this is why each person that's present on Earth right now, we're all here for a reason. So we're activating each other. So whatever I said is awakening something in you. It's like you have a dormant code that gets awakened when I share. And even when I'm hearing your voice, I'm being awakened or stimulated, or some thought process is happening. So there's transference of energy. And what I'm being shown that I wrote in some of the books and I'm going to start teaching about is the more and more we do this, it's like a collective meditation, is we're all raising each other's vibrations and opening up each one of these, you could say past life connections. I think it's cosmic, back into an original remembering. We're all waking up. So it's like these, you know, when they talk about timelines converging, it's like it's ultimately we're all going back to the source, but we're stimulating each other. We're you got a code, I got a code, you know, we're sharing codes and energy and frequency. So this is what's going on right now. And this is really big. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Patty. Appreciate it.
Okay. No worries at all. the sooner the Pentagon decides that, oh, actually there are aliens and there are UFOs, the better off we will all be.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I just mention something about that? So a lot of people are talking about ships being seen, star people being visible. A lot of people are saying, when are they coming? They're here. They're here. And all these dimensions exist simultaneously. Right now, you and I are in 50 dimensions right now, and we can shift through them. And all these, this is what I'm being shown is just like some people see spirits. You know, when you tap into the astral, you're just changing your frequency. It's just a different vibration. So they're all collectively here. And this is actually what's happening. This is like, it's less an awakening. It's like a revealing. You know, when they talk about a veil being over our pineal gland and consciousness. We're revealing this. So more and more people are going to see this very quickly. And these higher senses are going to awaken. So this is where people have to be prepped for this, because it is happening now. And the star people are going to make themselves very visible to the general public.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks again, Patty. Susie, you have a question?
Yeah, not really a question, just I loved the way your art and your light language and everything moved together. I mean, it was just, and even to where part of your art, and then you'd zero in on little parts of the art. I just thought there was so much synchronicity, and it was just gorgeous. My new friend that I just moved with, Sperry, is in Hawaii. He's an artist, and we felt like this is some of his art, and we found that some of my tie-dye that I'm doing art, it all flows together, and I play music, and it's and I love also the fact that nature is so much part of your yeah, it's like that's what's happening with all of us. I'm just thrilled with your talk today. Thank you so much.
You.
Just beautiful.
Thank you. Well, it's interesting because it's multi-dimensional. Like the art behind you plus your clothes, I mean, they're all codes and patterns, and they all fit together. It's like different personalities, you can find some commonality. And I think the bottom line, what you said about nature, cosmos, the cosmos is nature. We have minerals and elementals in our body. This is what we're communicating with. So it happens on all these levels. This is why I love doing sound and music and dance and mudras and stuff, because it's all, it's like it's alive. It's like creating with, I tell people it feels like I'm drawing with energy, you know, and it stimulates something in people to remember. But the key is each person has their own voice, and each person has their own vibration, that when they do their expression, it comes out uniquely. And it's important because it keeps awakening other people. So yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I appreciate it.
But right before you said uniquely, I was going to say yes, but yours is so unique. It really is. It's so gorgeous. Thank you so much. Love you. Bye-bye.
So Susie, while we have you up here, if you want to go ahead, I know you have a song for us.
I do. And it has to do with nature, just like Shakara was talking about. And I wrote this song. Shake the mountains, awake the trees, proclaim the end of all futility. We tie negativity up in chains. We proclaim the star seeds of freedom reign, because we have the vision in our heart. We are the possessors of a brand new start. We kick down the doors, they've been closed too long. This family of star seeds, we're moving on. The dreams we dreamed have finally begun, so we fight the fight with endurance. We run, we come forth in such purity, with hearts of compassion and eyes to see. 'Cause we've got that vision in our heart. We are the possessors of a brand new start. We kick down those doors, they've been closed too long. This family of star seeds, we're moving on. Source living in us such liberty. Source in us is finally free. One with each other, yes, totally one. Our only cry is more purity come. 'Cause we've got that vision in our heart. We are the possessors of a brand new start. We kick down those doors, they've been closed too long. This family of star seeds is moving on.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Susie. It was beautiful.
My pleasure, always.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. You mentioned star seeds, and then the bottom line is we are star seeds becoming star beings.
Yes.
I just want to share this is the real message I'm getting, is that, you know, people talk about ascension and moving up in like an elevated level. What I'm saying is we're all here to bring in our higher self, our higher spirit into the physical, right? And be completely physical and completely spiritual simultaneously. You know, be in this world, be able to come in and out. And so I thank you for that song. Beautiful. And I just love to see people expressing themselves. I really appreciate that. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're fortunate Susie sings for us, with us, to us every week. So thank you, Susie, and thank you, Shakara, for being here. Could you tell people, oh, and before I do that, I want to just shout out to Jenny M. For all your awesome comments on YouTube tonight. Thanks so much for being with us. And Shakara, if you could just provide us your website one more time, just in case people are tuning in a little later.
Sure, thank you. So you can find me at shakaratosha.com. That's my name, which is SHAKARA. And the second part is Tosha, TOSHA, Shakara Tosha. That was a star name I was given by the star people. And I also want to say that my spirit name from Chief Golden Night Eagle is Wichakpe Tosha Washtewi, which means beautiful violet star woman. So the Tosha just mentioned is Lakota, which means violet, because I also work with the violet race. So it's Shakara Tosha, and I would love to connect with people, and I'm available to be here as a support system. So
beautiful. Thank you so much. And another shout out to Ashley. Thank you. She says, thanks for the beautiful presentation. So thank you guys for being here with us tonight also. All right, everybody, you have been listening to Shakara right here on Cosmic Conversations on the Conscious Awakening Network. So I want to thank everyone so much for being here with us. If you want to join us in the live audience, go to thegalacticalliance.org or the consciousawakeningnetwork.org. Sign up to be on our mailing list, and we will see you right here. So thanks everyone for being here. Many blessings to you all, and good night and namaste. Have a beautiful week, everyone.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Good night.